There it is again. That sound. You're standing at your front door, keys in your hand, 1 foot already in the hallway, and behind you, you hear it start. A soft whine at first, just a little sound, almost like a question. And you tell yourself, it's fine, he'll settle. So you close the door, you turn the key in the lock, and that's when the whine becomes a howl. You freeze. You can picture him on the other side of that wood, those little paws scratching at the floor, that tiny body trembling. Maybe you hear the thud of him throwing himself against the door. Maybe you hear the frantic barking that neighbors have started to complain about. And your heart just breaks. You feel it crack right down the middle. Because you have somewhere to be. You have work, you have errands, you have a life. But he doesn't understand that. All he understands is that his whole world, which is you, just walked out and left him alone in a quiet, scary, enormous house. The panic is real. His and yours. And the worst part? You come home to shredded couch cushions, a puddle by the door, and a puppy so wound up he can barely breathe. And you think to yourself, what am I doing wrong? Let me stop you right there, my friend, because you're not doing anything wrong. But there is something nobody has told you. I know that feeling. I know that guilt that sits in your stomach all day at work, wondering if he's okay. And I know what most people do next. They go online, and they get funneled straight toward the expensive fixes. The $400 prescription anxiety medications. The $2,000 board and train programs that ship your baby off to a stranger for 3 weeks. The endless parade of commercial calming products loaded with chemicals you can't even pronounce, sold to you by companies that profit off your panic. That's the enemy here. An entire industry that wants you to believe that your puppy's fear is a complicated, costly medical mystery that only their product can solve. But what if I told you that the real reason your puppy panics has almost nothing to do with a chemical imbalance? What if I told you that the actual root cause is something so simple, so misunderstood, that once you see it, you'll never look at your goodbye routine the same way again? And what if the fix, the real, lasting fix, is sitting in your kitchen and inside your own daily habits, costing you almost nothing at all? If you saw the thumbnail of this video, you saw the promise, the quick fix, and I meant it. The secret to calming your panicking puppy isn't locked away in a vet's pharmacy. A huge part of it lives right in your kitchen pantry and refrigerator, and the rest lives in a handful of tiny changes to the way you come and go. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your puppy loses his mind when you leave, and you'll have a complete, gentle, natural plan to fix it from the inside out. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Tony Lee, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. I want to tell you about a little Cavalier Spaniel named Biscuit, who came through my clinic doors a while back. His owner, a lovely young woman, was at the end of her rope. She was in tears in my exam room. Biscuit had chewed through a baseboard, cracked a tooth doing it, and she was one landlord complaint away from losing her apartment. She'd already spent hundreds of dollars on gadgets, and when I asked her a few simple questions about her mornings, the whole picture came clear in about 90 seconds. The problem wasn't Biscuit. The problem was a few small, completely understandable mistakes that almost every loving pet parent makes. And here is the statistic that should make all of us sit up straight. Separation-related distress affects an estimated 20 to 40% of dogs seen in veterinary behavior practices. That's up to 4 out of every 10 dogs. And in puppies, that critical window when it develops, if we get it wrong, it can shape their anxiety for the rest of their lives. We're not talking about a minor annoyance here. Chronic stress like this floods the body with cortisol, which is the body's main stress hormone, and over time that constant flood can weaken the immune system, wreck digestion, and take years off your dog's happy, healthy life. This matters. So today, we are doing a complete masterclass. This is everything I know, poured into one video. We're going to cover 6 chapters. First, the real reason behind the panic, the thing nobody explains. Second, the immediate, in-the-moment calming trick using something in your fridge right now. Third, the kitchen pantry calming remedies that soothe the nervous system naturally. Fourth, the goodbye and hello routine that's secretly making everything worse. Fifth, the long-term training that rewires the root cause for good. And sixth, a reality check chapter where I tell you how to put it all together without overdoing it. So do me a favor, grab a pen and a notebook, because you are going to want to write some of this down. And if this channel has ever helped you and your best friend, go ahead and hit subscribe so I can keep protecting pets like yours. All right, let's dive in. Chapter 1. The real reason your puppy panics. And I promise you, it is not what you think. But what if the whining and the howling aren't your puppy being dramatic or spoiled or clingy? Because that's what a lot of people think. They think the dog is manipulating them, throwing a tantrum. Let me tell you the truth from the inside out. Your puppy is a den animal, wired by tens of thousands of years of evolution to survive by staying with the pack. To a baby dog, being alone doesn't feel like a quiet afternoon. It feels like a life or death emergency. In the wild, a puppy separated from the group is a puppy that gets eaten. So that panic you hear? That's not bad behavior. That's an ancient survival alarm going off inside his little body, screaming that he's been abandoned and he's in danger. Here's the simple science. When your puppy is left alone before he's learned that alone is safe, his brain triggers a flood of that stress hormone I mentioned, cortisol, along with adrenaline. His heart races. His breathing goes shallow. His whole nervous system slams into fight or flight. He literally cannot think or learn in that state, because the survival part of his brain has taken the wheel. That's why yelling at him or punishing the mess never works. You can't discipline a panic attack out of a baby. And here's the critical secret most people miss. This isn't about the length of time you're gone. It's about the threshold. A puppy who panics in the first 90 seconds after you leave is going to be just as distressed whether you're gone for 10 minutes or 10 hours, because the damage is done in that first flood. So the entire game, everything we're about to do, is about teaching that little nervous system that being alone is not an emergency. That's the root cause. Everything else is a symptom. Now, a quick vet warning before we go further. What I'm describing today is normal, common separation distress in an otherwise healthy puppy. If your puppy is also showing signs of illness, not eating, vomiting, lethargy, or if the destruction and panic are so severe he's genuinely injuring himself, you need to see your own hands-on veterinarian in person. Some cases are severe enough to need a proper behavior plan, and, yes, sometimes medication as a bridge. There's no shame in that. This video is your foundation, not a replacement for a vet who can lay hands on your dog. Okay, so now you know the why. This brings me to the part you've been waiting for. Chapter 2. The immediate, in-the-moment calming trick. The quick fix I promised you in the thumbnail. But what do you do right now, tomorrow morning, when you have to leave and you can't wait weeks for training to kick in? You need something that works today, and it's sitting in your refrigerator. Here's the mechanism, and it's beautiful in its simplicity. A dog cannot be in full panic mode and in a state of calm, focused enjoyment at the same time. The nervous system can only run one program at a time, so our job is to hijack that first 90 seconds, the danger window, and fill it with something so absorbing, so deliciously calming, that his brain switches out of the survival channel and into the pleasure and focus channel. And the tool for that is a frozen, stuffed food toy. Here is exactly how to do it. Take a rubber food stuffing toy, the classic hollow kind you can find anywhere. Now go to your kitchen. Mash up a little bit of plain, unsweetened canned pumpkin, about a tablespoon, and mix it with a small scoop of your dog's regular kibble and a thin smear of a dog-safe nut butter. Pack it into the toy, and here's the key: freeze it overnight. The freezing is what makes the magic last. Instead of gulping it in 30 seconds, your puppy now has 15, 20, 30 minutes of slow, methodical licking. And here's why the licking itself is the real secret. Licking is a naturally self-soothing behavior for dogs. It releases those feel-good calming chemicals in the brain and physically lowers the heart rate. So you're not just distracting him, you're giving him a biological off switch for his own anxiety. You hand him that frozen toy the moment before you walk out that door, and you leave while he's happily working on it. You've replaced the sound of the door closing with the taste of something wonderful. Now, here comes the vet warning, and this one is huge, so listen closely. If you use a nut butter, you must, and I mean must, check the label for something called xylitol. Xylitol is a sugar substitute, sometimes labeled birch sugar, and it is deadly toxic to dogs, even in tiny amounts. It can cause a catastrophic drop in blood sugar and liver failure. So flip that jar over, read every ingredient, and if you see xylitol or birch sugar, throw it out and use a plain, pet-safe option instead. When in doubt, plain pumpkin and kibble alone works beautifully. Do not gamble on this one. We're covering a lot already. Grab a sip of water, because this next part is where the real natural healing happens. Chapter 3. The Kitchen Pantry Calming Remedies that Soothe the Nervous System from the Inside Out. But what if you could actually lower your puppy's baseline anxiety, not just distract him in the moment, using gentle, natural ingredients you already own? This is where my holistic side gets excited, because nature gave us some wonderful tools, and the commercial industry doesn't want you to know how cheap they are. Let's start with the simplest one, chamomile. Yes, the same chamomile in the tea bag in your pantry. Chamomile contains a natural compound called apigenin, which is just a plant compound that gently binds to calming receptors in the brain, taking the edge off nervous tension. Here's how you use it safely. Steep 1 chamomile tea bag, the plain kind, no additives, no caffeine, in a cup of hot water, and let it cool completely to room temperature. Then you can add a couple of tablespoons of that cooled tea over your puppy's food, or offer a little in his water bowl. We're talking small amounts. This is a gentle nudge toward calm, not a sedative. Next, let's talk about that pumpkin again, because it's a 2-for-1 hero. Beyond stuffing the toy, plain canned pumpkin is rich in fiber and helps settle the digestive upset that so often comes with a stressed puppy. Remember, anxiety and the gut are deeply connected. A calmer gut sends calmer signals to the brain. That's the gut-brain axis, which is just a fancy way of saying your dog's belly and brain are constantly talking to each other. A tablespoon of plain pumpkin mixed into meals can genuinely help settle a nervous tummy. And here's a professional vet tip most people never hear. One of the most powerful calming tools isn't a food at all, it's a smell. Dogs experience the world through their nose far more than their eyes. So take an old t-shirt you've worn, one that smells like you, don't wash it, and leave it in his bed or his crate when you go. To your puppy, your scent says, "My person is near, I am safe." It's a free, endlessly reusable calming remedy, and it's astonishingly effective. Now I can hear the objection already. But Dr. Tony, what about the essential oils and the herbs I've seen online? Lavender, valerian, all of that. And I love that you're asking, because this is where I have to put my foot down as your vet. Here's the vet warning. Many essential oils that are perfectly safe for us are toxic to dogs, especially when diffused in a closed room or applied to the skin. Tea tree, eucalyptus, and many others can cause real harm. And stronger herbs like valerian should only ever be used under the guidance of your own veterinarian, at a dose they calculate for your dog's specific weight. Do not eyeball it. Natural does not automatically mean safe. That's a myth that lands dogs in my clinic every single year. All right, we've soothed the body. Now let's fix the behavior, because this next chapter is one that's probably surprising you every single day without you realizing it. Chapter 4. The goodbye and hello routine that is secretly making everything worse. But what if I told you that the loving, tearful goodbyes you give your puppy and the ecstatic, joyful reunions when you get home are actually training him to panic? I know, it stings a little to hear. But stay with me, because this is one of the most important shifts you can make, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Here's the science of it. When you crouch down before you leave, cup his little face, and say, "Mommy loves you, I'll be back soon, be a good boy," in that sad, worried voice, you think you're comforting him. But what you're actually doing is broadcasting, loud and clear, something big and scary is about to happen. You're spiking his arousal right before you disappear. You're pouring fuel on the fire, and then you come home, and he's frantic, spinning, jumping, crying, and you match that energy. You gush, "Oh, I missed you so much. Were you a good boy?" Yes, you were. And now you've taught him that your arrivals and departures are the most emotionally enormous events of his entire day. You've made the very thing we're trying to calm into the biggest deal in the world. So here's exactly what to do instead. For the 10 minutes before you leave, go quiet and boring. No big goodbyes, no eye contact drama. You calmly hand him his frozen toy and you simply walk out like it's nothing. Because to you, it should be nothing. And when you come home, this is the hard part for us softies. You ignore him. Completely. For the first 2 to 3 minutes, you don't look at him, you don't talk to him, you don't touch him. You put your keys down, you take off your shoes, you get a glass of water. And only once he's calm, once all 4 paws are on the floor and he's settled, only then do you greet him warmly. You are teaching him a powerful lesson. Comings and goings are calm, ordinary, no big deal events. There's nothing to panic about. Here's the critical secret inside this one. You should also practice fake departures throughout the day. Pick up your keys and sit back down. Put on your coat and take it off. Open the door and close it without leaving. Do this 10, 20 times a day, randomly. Right now, those keys are a starting gun for panic. We're going to make them mean absolutely nothing. And a gentle vet warning here. Do not confuse no dramatic goodbyes with no affection. Your puppy needs mountains of love, play, and connection when you're together. We are not being cold. We are simply taking the emotional charge out of the 2 specific moments that trigger the alarm. Big difference. Take a breath. We're almost there. This brings me to the chapter that fixes the whole thing at the root. Chapter 5. The long-term training that rewires the root cause for good. But what if you could actually change your puppy's fundamental belief about being alone, so that one day, being by himself feels as natural as taking a nap in the sun? That's the goal. And we get there with something called graduated desensitization, which is just a big term for a very simple idea, teaching him to be alone in tiny, tiny steps that never trip the panic alarm. Remember that first 90 seconds threshold from Chapter 1. Here's how we work with it. We start absurdly small. On a calm afternoon, you're going to walk to the other side of the room, wait 3 seconds, and come back before he has a chance to worry. That's it. Then 5 seconds. Then you step out of the room entirely for 2 seconds and come back. You are always returning before the panic starts. You're proving to his nervous system over and over that you leave and you come back. Every single time. Then you build the ladder. 2 seconds becomes 10. 10 becomes a minute becomes 5. And the golden rule, write this down, is you only move to the next step when he's completely relaxed at the current one. If he panics, you've gone too fast. Just back up to the last easy step and stay there longer. There's no rush. Slow is fast here. And here's a professional vet tip to make this stick. Pair it with a cue. Every time you do a real departure, say a simple, calm word like back